I got blocked by an influencer on TikTok. I honestly never thought this would happen to me, and the fact that it happened to me because of mice just makes it so much better and worse. Did I stitch their video and point out that all the research they were sharing was about mice and not humans? Yes. Yes, I did. I stand by the fact that I think that is a messed up thing to do. Don't give me a headline like a very cost-effective, non-sponsored, science-backed Ozempic alternative, ? I cite my published peer-reviewed sources and then go through all these published peer-reviewed sources and not mention that every single one of them is a study on mice. You cannot say it helps humans lose weight or with diabetes and that like published peer-reviewed sources say this when the studies were done on mice and not humans. You just can't. That's not how it works. You could say, like, you've tried something and share your personal experience. Be like, in my personal experience, it helped me lose weight. Like, you don't have to bring, like, science and peer review and research into it. But if you're going to bring it into it, I am going to stitch your video and point out the fact that you're misleading people by not talking about how all the research is about mice. Honestly, I'm bummed because I really love a lot of this influencer's content, and I didn't stitch the video to be mean. I think this is a huge problem that we have on the internet and social media and normal media, generally speaking, is that people take research and studies and they present them to make a case without necessarily fully understanding the research and what it actually says. So then people watch your video or read your article and they're like, oh my gosh, well, like, research said this, a study found this, like, this must be true. I should believe in this. But the person telling you that doesn't actually understand the research themselves, so it could not be true. And a lot of times, it's not true. In my opinion, like, people deserve to know that. So part of me is like, as a researcher on this app, I feel like a moral, social obligation to point things out that are inaccurate when I see them. Because I don't want you to go get a tea thinking that it's going to help you lose weight or help with your diabetes because research says it will when research doesn't say that. I also think it's a really important conversation to have. We need better literacy around data and research. Like, we need to learn how to better understand research and data and studies and how to properly share it with a wider audience. I've said it before, I will say it again a million times. For me, it starts with the 5 W's. So when you're reading research and you want to know if it applies to you, and you should be reading it to see if it applies before you share it, you want to look for the 5 W's. So the first W is who. And so if you're reading the research and the who is all mice, you might not want to use that to make your case about something in humans. And I just want to note that, like, some research does start out with animals, but then just say that. Be like, hey, they found that this really works in mice. We don't know if it works in humans yet, but it works in mice, so maybe you want to try it. Again, like, full transparency is key. Like, let's just not mislead anyone. We got the who. The what is like, what is the type of data? Like, is it survey data? Did they do interviews? Did they do observations? Like, what is the actual information you're looking at? When did this information come from? Did it come from like a year ago or did it come from 50 years ago? Super important context. Where in the world did the information come from? Things can vary by country. Things can also vary by, like, you know, whether it's data from a really big city or a really small town. So, like, knowing the geography can influence how you feel about that research. Why are people doing this research? You know, what are they trying to learn? Who's paying for the research? Where did the money come from the research? Those things, like driving the why, the purpose of the research, are also really important context in terms of you deciding whether or not you think this is, like, credible, like you believe it's legit research. Who, what, when, where, why. If you go through those 5 things as you're reading research, I believe you have baseline enough information to decide, like, do I think this is true? And do I think this is relevant to, like, me or to, like, the groups of people I want to share this with? And you just, like, have to do that before you share something. Like, you really shouldn't be sharing something if you don't fully understand it unless you're sharing it to like ask a question and strive for deeper understanding. I think people's personal experiences are very valuable. I would much rather see you share like your personal experience of like, hey, this worked for me, than sharing something that's like you're trying to make it sound more legit by saying research found it and then sharing research that absolutely did not find the thing that you're saying it found, right? And like confusing people, and then people are running around thinking things are true that are absolutely not. So I'm blocked by an influencer I really liked, which is a bummer. And there might still be this like mouse tea weight loss video going around out there and people thinking that it's true for humans, which also honestly just like really irritates me because that is wrong. That's wrong. It's just wrong.